Peter, man, what's happening?
You know, everything just went sideways right away. I don't know what happened. I just, after we went and prayed, and we walked down there, and those soldiers showed up and cut the guy's ear off. I mean, and Jesus went and put that back on for me, and I thought I was there to protect him, and then I got scared, and everything he said was going to happen happened.
I didn't think it was going to happen like that, though.
I didn't either.
I was there, man. I was at the cross, right? I mean, you couldn't believe it. What happened to him? I mean, when they drug him down that road, right, and the cross fell on his back, and he couldn't hold on to it anymore. He was broken. They beat him within an inch of his life. And they had this guy pick up his cross, right, carry it further the rest of the way down the road. And then when they put the nails in his hands, they stretched him so tight. I didn't know how he could even make it through that.
Was Mary there?
Yeah. And you know what Jesus told me after? And before he died, he says, I need you to take care of my mom. Of course, I said, oh, yeah, I can do that, but this is not the way I seen it going down. I mean, you remember a few days ago when he rode in on that donkey? You know? And we laid the palms down, people laid their coats down. I thought for sure his kingdom was coming in.
Yeah, I did too.
How do we go from praising him and a few days later, they crucified him?
I don't know. But there was joy, and everything that he said was going to be there was going to be there. I don't know.
You're not even going to believe this. On the cross, there's two guys hanging beside him, right?
Yep.
And the one guy starts harassing him. And the other guy says, we're dead. We're going here because of our crimes. And he's done nothing. And you know what he told him?
What did he say?
He said, today you'll be with me in paradise. How does that work? I don't quite understand that, right? That guy was a criminal. At the last second, he gets to go to paradise?
But Jesus always did things that didn't make sense. He did miracles. Do you remember when we were out in that field and all those people were there? There was like 5,000 people there. And that poor kid that had like 2 fish and a couple barley loaves. And yep. Jesus like, go get that over there. And we're like, right, this is going to be great, right?
You know what? That was a good one. I remember when he brought it over and he prayed over that, right?
Yep.
He prayed over that basket. And you know what? I was amazed. Every time I reached in, there was more in there. It never ran out until everybody was full.
Well, we started with 2 fish and a couple barley, what was it, like 12 baskets or something left over? And everybody was, it would have been like a half a year's wages to even get those people a nibble on anything. And they were filled until they were satisfied.
It was just amazing things that happened, right?
It was.
I can't believe that.
It's been 3 years.
3 years. I was going to ask you, when we're at that. Remember when he told us, me and you, we got to go get ready for the Passover? We get together, go get the stuff together, and we're there at that Last Supper, and he starts washing my feet. And I'm like, why are you washing my feet? I didn't quite understand, and then you, Mr. Loudmouth, had to open and stick your foot in.
Well, I'm like, why don't you just wash my whole body? Then he goes, later you'll understand. And I don't know what that means yet. But what if an experience, though. Our master, our leader, took a role of a servant, and he washed our feet. And then later we'll understand. I
wanted to ask you, whatever happened? He said, I didn't want to bring it up, but he said you'd deny him?
Yeah, so what I was talking about is after the incident with the guard, and then Jesus healed him, I followed him.
Yeah?
And there was a campfire that was going on, and I snuck over there, and somebody recognized me, and they're like, "You're the guy that follows Jesus." And I'm like, "No, it's not me. I don't follow him." And I ran.
Yeah.
And then somebody else a little while later recognized me again, And I'm like, nope, it wasn't me. And I got out of there because I didn't want to be recognized. And then the third person said the same thing. And I get ready to deny him. I deny him. And then Jesus looks at me. He's literally looks at me.
How did he know?
I don't know how he knew. I don't know how he always knew.
I tell you what, he knew a lot, right?
He did know a lot. He did.
You remember that time when that guy was blind? I laugh about this because I keep thinking about this story every time, right? Or the story where this guy, he can't see, but he can hear. And I don't know if that's why Jesus did it, but he reaches down and grabs some dirt and spits in it, right?
Yep.
The miracles he did sometimes weren't in the way I normally thought they'd be.
Well, then
You know,
the guy wandering to go and wash,
Yep.
and then he comes out, and he could see, and nobody believed him.
No, nobody believed it. Well, sometimes I hardly believe the things that happened when we were with him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know.
I remember the one time when the Pharisees pulled out that lady, and they said they were going to, she was caught in the act of adultery, right?
Yeah, I know. Yep.
She was there, right? And so they were trying to catch Jesus. They were trying to catch him, but he was pretty crafty. I think he knew all the answers. But I found it funny when they asked him, he goes, this lady was caught in the act of adultery. Moses said we should stone her.
Yep.
And he reached down and started writing on the ground. I sure wish, I never got to see what he wrote on the ground. I wanted to see what he wrote on the ground, right? But he wrote on the ground. And it took him a bit, and I don't know if he was thinking, if he was praying. But then he told them, Pharisees and the people that were around, he just said, you know what? You who haven't committed a sin, you can throw the first stone.
And they all walked away.
Can you imagine the noise of just the thump as the rocks they had in their hands ready to go, one after the next?
They all
And
walked
when he
away.
looked up, he asked her, has anybody convicted you? She goes, no, neither do I.
Mm-hmm.
How
Yeah.
we could just, like you forgive sins so easily.
Yeah.
I didn't quite understand that.
Well, Lazarus.
I don't know what to laugh about that one. Remember?
Well,
I mean, it was like 3 or 4 days before we got there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it was.
It
he
took
stunk,
a minute, right?
right?
Yes.
He stunk.
Yep. Yeah.
And Jesus said, just roll the stone away.
Yep.
And he just says, Lazarus, come out. How in the world did that happen?
I think he did it for us, though. He did it so that we could maybe see what he was trying to show us what to do. He always kept saying, later you'll understand. Later you'll understand.
Well, hopefully
I
we'll
don't know.
understand someday. I don't know.
I don't know what to do now. I don't know what to do now.
I start thinking back all the things that happened. Remember when that night there was that storm in the boat? You know? I mean,
You had to
there was
bring
this
that one up,
storm.
didn't you?
I want to bring that one up because
Come
I
on
thought
now.
that was hilarious. Because all of a sudden we see him walking across the water, right? And then you, Mr. Dopehead, said, hey, can I come out with you, Jesus?
Hey, you know what? So this is what happened.
Well,
So
I want to know.
I get out of the boat, right?
Yeah.
I was like, we're doing this. And then the wind and the waves and all these things. And I was walking across the water. It happened. And then what happened is I started to sink. I took my eyes off of Jesus and I'm like, Jesus, help me. Help me. And he grabs me. And you know what he said to me?
No.
Better to be a wet water walker than a dry boat sitter. That's what he said. That's not what he said at all.
That's not what he said.
No, he said, you have little faith. Where is your faith? And you know what? He pulled me out of the water and got me back in that boat. And we all knew at that moment that was the Son of God. And we just started worshiping him. We just knew.
Remember
Just
the
knew.
time he calmed the storm, too?
Yeah.
Like he sent us, we were in there and he's in the boat just sort of sleeping. What's up is that? I don't understand that, right? And when he just said, stop, and the winds and the wave, and we were just, the things we seen, Do you think they'll even be talking about this guy a couple thousand years from now?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think we fully understood who exactly he was.
Do you remember the first time that we met him?
Yeah, I remember.
I was
Vividly.
out there fishing, and it came in, and this guy wants to commandeer the boat to go and preach.
A message, yeah.
It was the most amazing message that I've ever seen or ever heard, ever been part of. And then he tells us to push out a little bit, and then he goes, "Put down your nets." We had just cleaned them,
Oh, yeah,
and it
that's
was
not fun.
and we didn't catch anything. And I'm like, "I don't want to." And he's like, "Put down your nets on the other side." So
You
I
are
did.
a little stubborn every now and then.
Yes. And we grabbed those nets, and we were heaving as hard as we could, and it started to snap.
Oh, I know.
And then,
That's where I
and then
came in.
we started calling for you to come over, and our boat started to sink. And then you started to fill your boat, and you almost went under.
Yep.
How did you do that?
And then he told us we were going to be fishers of men. What was he even talking about? I think I'm starting to understand.
Do you remember when he paired us up and sent us out?
Yeah, and
We
he
just-
told us, if they ignore you, just move on. Don't take no provisions.
Yeah. I remember
He was
walking.
trying to teach us something.
I remember walking to the first town, and I'm like, I don't know what we're supposed to do. And then you just all the feelings of Jesus when he was teaching and telling us what to do. We walked in there, and he said, "If let our peace settle," and it did.
And the Holy Spirit would give us the word.
Yeah, and the lame started to walk, and the blind started to see, and bones that were broken were healed, and it was amazing. It was amazing. And then we came to the last little boy, and we just full of so much confidence, and
Yep.
and we finally went back to Jesus, and we can't do it, and he looked at us, and
Ye of little faith.
you little faith.
Are we ever going to have enough faith?
All he asked is, how much longer is he going to have to be with us? I don't know what that means.
Dude, I thought for sure maybe me and you were going to be the right and the left-handers. Sitting on the sides, right?
Yeah.
Man, I'm going to miss it.
I am too. Do you remember when we were eavesdropping, when he was talking to that Pharisee? What was his name again?
Nicodemus?
Yeah. And he was talking about just being born again and how Nicodemus should understand that because it's what he does. And
He didn't quite understand. He's like,
no.
do I need to crawl back into my mother's womb?
Right.
Like,
right.
what does that even mean?
Right.
Right?
I wrote it down. And then I'm sure Matthew was over there like he always is, just scribbling things, trying to figure it out.
Oh, man.
But I heard that when Jesus came off the cross, he showed up, and he had just it was like 70-some pounds of incense and myrrh and all kinds of stuff. Just for a Pharisee to show up.
Yeah, that's,
I don't know.
all the things we did with him, too. I think I'm going to miss just even walking with him. I mean, when he spoke in a different way, right?
Yeah.
He spoke in, we call them parables. He spoke in stories so people could understand. I mean, I remember the story told about the prodigal son, right?
Yep.
He told that story how that young man just squandered everything he had.
Yep.
But when he came back and he turned back to the father, I thought for sure there was going to be a catch in the story, right? Like he was going to be the servant, he was going to work under his dad. But no, he was restored. How?
But that's how much love Jesus had for everyone. Always pouring out love, care, concern. When people would gather around him that needed something, they were bringing people out of the hell country to just to have an encounter with him.
Remember how many times we let him down, though?
Yeah.
Remember when he pulled me and you aside?
You're
and,
talking to Peter. How many times you let him
you know,
down?
he pulled us aside and he said, I got to go pray. He just wanted us to stay up for just a little bit.
I know.
But I was so exhausted. We've been going for days, right?
No. He was
Come on,
so
looks at us.
he was so stressed out.
He was sweating blood. I never seen that before.
No. And then I went and messed all that piece up. But do you remember when we were eating together? And
Yeah.
I got so distracted. It was this beautiful moment with the bread and the breaking the bread and the wine. And then he said something that caught me off guard about Judas, because Judas is the one that brought
Yep.
the soldiers in, about the one that dips his hand in this bowl with me is going to betray me. And we started arguing. And I had so many questions, and I forgot to ask Jesus about those questions because I was so concerned it was going to be me that was going to betray him. And even after we get done praying, he said, continue to pray so that we don't become vulnerable.
I wonder how that worked out for Judas.
I don't know.
couldn't-
I haven't seen him
Why
yet.
would he have done that? I don't
don't know.
understand. You know what he said on that cross?
Mm.
It's finished. What does that mean? It's finished. I don't want it to be finished. I thought we were just starting.
Me too. But he kept saying that his time was coming near. I didn't believe him.
I thought he was going to rule and reign.
Yeah. I did too. I did too.
What if he comes back like he said he was?
Then they will be talking about for 2,000 years.
That'll be something else.
Yeah.
That'll be something else.
I don't know. Tomorrow we should go to the tomb.
Yeah, we should go check it out.
He kept saying later we'll understand, and I hope and I pray that we will later understand what he was trying to do, trying to teach us.
If he doesn't come back, man, I'm sure going to miss him. That was the best time of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. But he was preparing us for something.
Well, he told us if he didn't leave,
Mm.
he couldn't send the helper. What does that mean?
I guess we'll have to wait and find out. I guess we'll have
This
to
is
wait and
quite the
find out.
ordeal. I never imagined it would go down like this.
No. We should probably try to find the others.
Let's do that.
Tomorrow?